This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 9, Episode 18. And brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington on YouTube, and I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing, everything happens in D.C. That's right. So we go to the game score right away, playing the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday. I don't like to make you wait till the end. I'm going to go Washington 31, Seattle 27. Take that one.
24-17 Seattle.
Yeah, I think it's easy to pick Seattle in this game. But then again,
it's a hard stadium, man. It's a 30,000-mile trip. It's the Pacific Northwest. We don't know if it's going to be raining, if it's going to be snowing, if it's going to be 80 degrees. The 12th man, I don't really care about, but they have a decent team. I mean, it's a decent team. They remind me a lot of Washington. They're a decent team that has underperformed.
I always hated going to Seattle just because it was such a far trip. Because even going, LA or San Francisco, you're going longitudinally. This thing, you're going to the corner of the country. And Seattle's kind of a cool town. It feels like you are on the edge of the country, though. And like you're on an outpost. It's not near anything else. You can go up Space Needle. I mean, the Space Needle is this iconic thing you go to. You park at the McDonald's next door. There's nobody around. You just go up. You think it'd be like people around, but
there's no Snyder tour guide for the Space Needle.
Sometimes and when you're on the Space Needle, I took Kime with me once, and the Space Needle platform is tilted downward, I guess because of rain, and John was freaking out, and you just feel like you're going to fall off. But it rains there, and man, they have a hell of a home advantage. I mean, it's loud in that place. It's a tough place, more so than the old Kingdom was just a barn. So it's a pretty cool place to go see if you like to go NFL games. It's definitely one to go see.
I mean, as a positive spin on it, Geno Smith has underperformed this year, after re-signing with Seattle. Metcalf's kind of been hampered by injury. They just lost Walker, I believe, their running back. The defense is kind of they did just pick up Leonard Williams from the Giants, but defense has kind of been so-so. I mean, we just saw them come to Baltimore last week and get spanked. So, but Baltimore's on a different hemisphere. This is one of those 50-50 games. And Rick, this is one of those games that you got to go up there and take if you have any hopes and aspirations of a postseason in this town.
So Ron Rivera is 9-1 in Washington during the month of November.
The Washington State?
No, Washington, D.C.
Oh, Washington, D.C. Okay.
He is 9-1. I said he should play the Super Bowl on Thanksgiving Day. We win every year.
We're going to win it then.
I mean, it's just crazy of that stat. That's like half his wins.
Well, isn't he like 5-1 against Belichick now?
3-0, I think it was.
3-0, okay.
But, it's sort of like this is where he goes, he said the other day, he goes, this is where the lessons really kick in and all. Dude, the season starts in September. You don't have a learning curve. Yeah, they did great there. I don't know. The schedule gets they got the Giants after this. You could win that game. And then they play Dallas on Thanksgiving. They won the last 2 Thanksgiving Day games. It's just mind-blowing that. And then they just blow up in December.
Mm-hmm.
There's left. But November, Ron owns November. So I'm going to ride that one on my picks.
Okay. I'll stick with Seattle.
Is there a path to the playoffs? I mean, could they get there? It's the 7th, last seed. They're only a game out right now. But, the tougher part of the schedule, really, especially at the end, San Francisco, and they have the Jets. Well, I don't know how tough that'll be. It depends. They got Dallas again. They have 2 games against Dallas. I don't know. It would be a miracle, in my opinion, for them to get to the playoffs. But in the NFL, they tease you all the way to the end.
Well, let's see. If you lose the Seahawks, you're 4-6. You could get one against the Giants. You'd be 5-6. Probably lose to the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. You're definitely going to lose to the Dolphins. The Rams is winnable. The Jets is probably winnable. It's in New York. 49ers, and then realistically, Rick, maybe Dallas doesn't have anything to play for at the end of the year like last year. I mean, when we saw Sam's debut, it's a Ron Rivera coach team. They're going to be 8-8. You know, somehow they'll find a way to be 9-8 or 8-9. I mean, it's just that's how it ends up. So they got 4 more wins on the schedule. I'll say maybe Seahawks, Giants, Jets, and Rams.
And so, if you're Josh Harris, what do you do if this guy's going 8-9 or 9-8? I think so too. I don't think it.
Josh Harris has already made up his mind. He's already hired an analytics guy. He's got guys that he's talking to as far as what he needs to do going into the offseason. Josh Harris traded Sweat and Chase Young. That wasn't Marty. That wasn't Ron. It wasn't the other Marty. That was Josh Harris and ownership's decision. So you see who's running the show.
Yeah, I'd be okay with a new crew. I mean, Belichick coming? No. I don't want Belichick coming. I want a young OC from somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. And I was going to say, look, Ron was the right guy at the right time. He was the grown up in the room when we needed the grown up in the room. Now, because look, I know I feel this way, and I don't know how you feel, but a lot of people are on my side with this. Sam is your future. You can roll with Sam Howell. He has proven that he can compete in this league. You got to roll with an offensive minded guy that's going to be quarterback centric. Maybe not as much as Bieniemy is. With you got to kind of balance out, or the guy's going to throw his arm out by year 5. But yeah, you got to go with one of these offensive minded guys. Is Bieniemy the guy? We don't know. We don't know what conversations he's had with Harris. Do you go get the young OC from Detroit? Do you bring back a Sean McVay type guy? There's a lot of options out there. We just don't know which way Harrison, Magic, and Rails want to go.
So suppose they want to keep EB because he works well with Sam, but they want a different head coach. And they could say, you can be the head coach, but you got to keep EB. He only has another year on his contract, I believe. He signed a 2-year deal. Mm-hmm. And if you get a head coach offer anywhere else, suddenly you could have EB still with Howell. And, and that's might be a good combination. I don't know if a new coach would really accept that or not. I don't know how it would be on how they feel about EB on there, but it'd be an interesting dynamic on all that. That's why you don't really want to make EB your interim head coach. Should you fire Ron in between? Because then you went to different positions, and it's unfair to EB too, like that. So I don't know. That's going to be Howard would like to keep EB because they're having good success together.
Yeah.
And that's critical, man. Coaching with the quarterbacks is everything. If you get people at our same wavelength, they suck.
Rick, how would EB take that? This is a guy that has been passed over for a head coaching job. He gets an offensive coordinator position with a different team where he's quote unquote away from the Andy Reid bubble. And he's having success as an offensive coordinator, but does he stick around if Rails and Harris and Magic come to him and say, hey, look, we want you to stick around, but we only want you to be offensive coordinator. We're going to bring in this other guy to be a head coach. Does he stick around?
Well, if he's not a head coach elsewhere, yeah, because he's under contract. That's the bottom line.
Do they do him a favor and cut him loose and he can go somewhere else?
Well, you could do him a favor and do that. But if you don't want to, if you want him to stay, then you say, hey, stay here, have another good year, and that'll make it with another coach and make you even more attractive to things because maybe you can win with the next coach.
I think part of the intrigue for him coming to Washington was Ron is either gone or going to step down at the end of this year, and EB was hoping to be elevated to head coach.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be a hard thing to swallow. It would be, but you don't have all the options in the room either. I think it's unlikely this happens, but it is a possibility.
I will say this: if Bieniemy is made head coach, you have to bring in at least an offensive or defensive coordinator that has tenure in this league. You have to bring in someone that has been, on that side of the ball to kind of help you do this.
Yeah, because head coaches have too much to do anymore to be coordinators. It's just too big a job.
Yeah. So maybe he gets somebody off of Kansas City's staff that knows his system. Maybe he gets somebody, in his quote unquote tree that can come in and be OC. But that's the thing too. I mean, realistically, can you run your game plan with Sam week to week and be the head coach? You know, there's a lot to do as a head coach, like you mentioned.
Yeah. Boy, it'd be quite a success story for him. I mean, I like EB. I wish him well. He still passes too much, but as Andy Reid would say, but I can live with it. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. I think Magic will have a big influence on this because he doesn't know football, but he knows coaching. He knows sports, and I think a lot of influence here. And I think he could I think he's a guy in a way that will make a decision on this.
I think Magic is more of an influence with the personnel above the head coach, whether it be GM, president, whatever structure they want to go with. I think Magic will have a lot of input with a GM.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. All right. Here's the new battle in town coming up. I did some videos on that this week. I did some digging. I'll go with the RFK thing first. The demolition. People were always asking me, "What's up with RFK?" They put out a new report. They basically are just waiting on a couple of clearances from the federal government to knock it down, and they will not explode it because of environmental concerns.
Right.
So they have to literally they're going to dismantle the upper deck, lower it down, cut it up, break up all the concrete, lower it down, truck it off on there. But there's no timetable yet because they're waiting on okay. They have raised permits. So once you get going, they can go, but the federal government's still holding them up on that point. As far as the House of Representatives extending the lease to DC for 99 years, that got gummed up by the 3 weeks layoff by the GOP trying to pick a new leader, and now they got more important things to do. And not that it won't matter because everybody's moving forward with what they're doing, but that's one reason why that hasn't happened. So now RFK's got, a path forward on that because you got to get that thing down before you can build a new one if you actually go there. But Now this Capital One Arena owners now said, hey, district leaders, we would like $600 million to put in a new food court and some rich people seats and a new front door. I'm like, seriously? I think that's their way of just saying we're moving over to Virginia, which I don't really think anybody cares too much. Because it's just a different metro stop along the way.
Yep.
But arenas, Cap One's like, we want 600 mil. How much is, the Commander's going to want? $1 billion? I mean, if they get the land, take that off your cost. The stadium is still probably a couple $1 billion. They're going to want the city to chip it. They can't do both. So now you're taking your choice. Which one do you want? From a business standpoint, I don't know. In one respect, the 10-quarter thing has been fabulously successful, but now the crime is in that area. They're having some real tough times. But the Commanders think could be a linchpin of renovating that whole side of the city over there. So that might be worth it. But I think in the end, it's one or the other. They're not going to do both.
I think at the end of the day, the easiest answer is obviously the Commanders. That this city has always been a basketball town. Well, our basketball team stinks. The bloom is off the rose with the Caps because now that Dan is gone, the Commanders are the new hot chick. I think the easy choice is the Commanders. You not only you get RFK down, you revitalize Southeast, you take care of what's going. I mean, Southeast is already being built up between the Nats and Audi Field. They've demolished Berry Farms and they're building $1 million houses over there. I mean, the whole area of Southeast is being built up. This is a blight in Southeast as far as this stadium being there. What better thing to have than a brand new shiny stadium that can attract WrestleMania and Super Bowls and Pro Bowls and whatever else you want to have, Kenny Chesney concerts, whatever you want to have there. It's a moneymaker for the stadium or for the city, which honestly Cap One is. Cap One has a gambling hub there. It's got Wizards and Nats Wizards, Caps and Mystics. It's got concerts. It's an indoor venue. You got all that stuff. But like you said, the Penn Quarter Chinatown area, the crime's moving in, stuff down there is kind of moving out type situation. It's turning into an older area. So I think obviously the easy answer for the district is new Commander Stadium at the RFK site, because you're going to bring back a lot of fans. That's another thing, Rick. You're going to bring back a lot of people that remember bouncing in those stands in RFK and the glory years of the Washington Redskins bringing home Super Bowls. It's going to play a lot on nostalgia, I think.
Yeah. Now, finally, if we're talking about a crime, I'm talking about the Wizards defense. My God, they're giving up like 140 points a game. I think Wes Unseld has proven he can't be the head coach of this team again, father like son. And I think they got to fire Wes at some point. But what a miserable franchise this is.
Unfortunately, the way that the NBA is structured is you have to have your big three. And if you don't have a big three, you're not going to compete. We just saw Josh Harris traded what's his name over to the Clippers. Now they got a big four, they're trying to grasp. James Harden, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Yeah, Kyle Kuzma's a nice player. We have nice players, but we don't have those three superstars. And ever since LeBron's decision, that's been the model of the NBA.
Yeah. All right, we're out of here. I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent with your hosts, Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.